Every action is being monitored.
There are millions and millions of cameras everywhere you go.
Every conversation is recorded.
Cell phones are actually sending information about who we're communicating with on a daily basis.
And every secret is exposed.
We are headed into this direction where, with a stroke of a key, you can figure out anything you want about a person.
As technology advances, information about everything and everyone is becoming more accessible than ever before. But in this age of unlimited access, should we be asking not only who is watching us, but from where?
These watchers, who are extraterrestrials, were all over the Earth in ancient times, watching people on Earth, watching civilization grow. And you have to wonder, isn't this still happening today?
Millions of people around the world believe we have been visited in the past by extraterrestrial beings. What if it were true? Did ancient aliens really help to shape our history? And if so, might they be among us today? June 5th, 2013. The British daily newspaper, The Guardian, reveals that classified documents from the United States National Security Agency have been leaked. Among them is an order from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court requiring Verizon to hand over metadata from millions of Americans' phone calls to the FBI and NSA. 4 days later, Edward Snowden, a former cybersecurity expert for the Central Intelligence Agency, comes forward to identify himself as the source of the leak. When asked to explain his actions, Snowden states, "I can get your emails, passwords, phone records, credit cards. I do not want to live in a world where everything I do and say is recorded."
The NSA is the National Security Agency, or as some people call it, the National Spying Agency, which is in control of monitoring the communication systems throughout the world. Every form of electronic communication, supposedly for the purposes of national security, to identify and neutralize any threats to America. One of the documents that Edward Snowden released was about a Project Mystic, which has the capability to record the actual audio of every conversation in an entire country, if not the planet.
Technology is really interesting as it enhances our life in so many ways, but with each of those enhancements, there's also something potentially taken away depending on how you see it. For example, our privacy is changing or is actually getting reduced almost daily.
We've never experienced a society where there are so many microphones, millions and millions of cameras everywhere you go.
We are moving our entire lives into what is known as the cloud. We are headed into this direction where, with a stroke of a key, you can figure out anything you want about a person.
As technology continues to advance at an ever-increasing rate, we gain greater access to information both from and about each other, becoming interconnected unlike any other time in our history. There are those who believe that this evolution of technology is not entirely of our own making, but that we have been guided by visitors that first came to Earth thousands of years ago.
From the perspective that I look at it all is that a long time ago, extraterrestrials provided the basic tools, the basic knowledge, with the idea that ultimately we would turn or become the society that we are today. So, is it possible that we are still being observed? And the answer is a resounding yes.
Ancient astronaut theorists contend that it is by extraterrestrial design that we have become so technologically interconnected, and that we are being watched not only by agencies of the government, but by beings from beyond our world. They also claim that they set us on this course in the ancient past, and that we can find evidence of their existence in the stories of a group of ancient aliens known as the Watchers. In the 4th chapter of the Hebrew Bible's book of Daniel, the Watchers are described as a group of divine overseers, later associated with angels.
The Watchers are essentially messengers, and so this is why many scholars understand the Watchers to be a class of angels, since angels were understood to be messengers in the Bible. They're tasked with managing the earth and watching over humans. And some of these are said to be good Watchers. They do their jobs dutifully. And others are said to be bad Watchers.
It is said about the Watchers that nothing happens on earth that is not ordained by their hand and executed by their agents. Who are they? What are they? Well, Daniel doesn't necessarily go into greater detail, but there were numerous other texts that teach more about that which is recorded in the biblical books. One of the most famous, of course, is the Book of Enoch.
The Book of Enoch, containing the first-hand account of the great-grandfather of Noah, was stricken from the Bible's Old Testament at the Council of Laodicea in the 4th century AD. In the 3rd book of this apocryphal text, Enoch says an angel, known as a Watcher, took him aboard a fiery chariot that ascended to heaven.
Enoch is brought up into outer space, into heaven. It's fascinatingly detailed, and the reports of crystal walls with light coming out of them and crystal rooms sounds like someone with primitive language skills trying to explain going into a super high fidelity science fiction reality.
In many ways, when you read the Book of Enoch, he is an abductee by extraterrestrials. And they're taking him into a spaceship, they're showing him the earth, they're giving him special instructions.
The Book of Enoch also states that 200 Watchers descended to Earth to oversee humankind and aid in our advancement.
The Watchers were said to have taught mankind many different arts and sciences that had previously only been known to the angels of heaven. And these included astronomy, metrology, the use of weapons.
Enoch is talking about flesh and blood beings who came, saw potential for mankind, and imparted knowledge. Those are who the Watchers were.
Could it be that the Watchers described in the Book of Enoch are extraterrestrials that came to Earth and taught early humans in the distant past? Did they plant the seeds of knowledge that would lead us to this point in our technological evolution? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest that evidence for this can be found in every corner of the world.
Around the world, we find stories that are strikingly similar to that of the Watchers coming to Earth and giving humanity forbidden knowledge, especially the secrets of heaven.
Inca legend states that the god Viracocha created humans and taught them astronomy, agriculture, and other advanced arts. The Maya civilization believed their supreme god Kukulkan taught humans writing, mathematics, and science. And in ancient Chinese legend, the divine ruler Huangdi introduced numerous advancements, such as the wheel, weaving, and writing.
In Egypt, you have the god Osiris revealing the wisdom to mortal kind on how they could construct civilization. And you find this again and again within the Eurasian continent, in Africa, but also obviously within West Asia. You have the stories of the Anunnaki.
The stories of the Anunnaki, or the Watchers, or the gods in the Greek pantheon, or any of the ancient gods, were based on physical visitations.
They are all the same group, the same extraterrestrial. They just have received different names among the tribes and among the continents.
If extraterrestrials really did come here to Earth to assist humanity, what happened to them? Perhaps the answer can be found with one of the ancient world's most powerful secret societies, which still exists today. The Netherlands. March 24th, 2014. 58 world leaders gather at the World Forum in The Hague for the 3rd biannual Nuclear Security Summit. In the center of the room is a giant spinning hologram of a pyramid with 3 smaller upside-down pyramids inside it. This symbol, which is also worn as a pin by the delegates, is the summit's official logo. But there are some who claim it represents something else, the all-seeing eye of the Illuminati. Conspiracy theorists suggest that this centuries-old secret society is alive and well in the 21st century, as evidenced by symbols flashed by celebrities, industry moguls, and even heads of state.
The modern-day Illuminati was organized by Adam Weishaupt in Germany. And he formulated plans so that his group could infiltrate all the key powers of society, the political sphere, the banking sphere, the media sphere back in the late 1700s. When we're talking about the Illuminati today, we're talking about essentially the most powerful secret society. These are the people that pull the strings from behind the scenes.
Is this just paranoia, or might the Illuminati still be around today, embedded in the highest levels of society? And if so, what is their agenda? Some say the answer can be found with a much older secret society, which may have been the precursor to the Illuminati, the Knights Templar. This band of warrior monks was formed in 1118 AD to protect pilgrims traveling to Jerusalem during the Crusades. But many claim that their true purpose was to find lost religious relics hidden at the Temple Mount. And during their time in Jerusalem, they rose from relative obscurity to being the most powerful order of the Crusades. So far-reaching was their influence that it became widely rumored they were in league with demons.
Jacques de Molay, the leading figure in the history of the Knights Templar, was brought up on charges of treason and heresy for something like devil worship. Somehow worshiping the dark side. This was the charge brought against not only de Molay, but the Knights Templars in general.
Is it possible the Knights Templar really were in contact with otherworldly entities they encountered at the Temple Mount? And if so, just what were these so-called demons?
We are taught that these Shedim, the elements, in many ways they're like human beings, and in many ways they're like the angels. Some are evil, many are good. Rumor has it that the Templar Knights endeavored to communicate with these spiritual entities.
This concept of demons is very different from the way we think of demons today. Essentially, what a demon was an otherworldly being. A being that was not of this earth, potentially an extraterrestrial being, with the word extraterrestrial meaning not of this earth.
Could the Templars really have been influenced by aliens that they misinterpreted as spiritual beings? Some ancient astronaut theorists say that the Knights Templar were in contact with the same extraterrestrials that were known in biblical times as the Watchers. And as evidence, they point to one of the Templars' most prominent symbols, the same symbol that some say was virtually present at the Nuclear Security Summit, the all-seeing eye. This symbol, which is sometimes just an eye, but often an eye within a pyramid, was used by the ancient Egyptians, the Knights Templar, the Rosicrucians, the Freemasons, the Illuminati, and is even incorporated into the Great Seal of the United States. It is a symbol that is most commonly interpreted to mean that someone or something is watching us.
The Eye of Providence symbolizes the idea of an omniscient, intelligent universe that is overseeing all of the affairs that we have here on Earth.
For many, the Eye of Providence was a symbol that God was watching over us, but others believed that it had a much deeper meaning and actually extended well beyond many other cultures, possibly even connected to extraterrestrials.
Could Could the symbol of the all-seeing eye be secretly telling us that the Watchers are still here on Earth, working behind the scenes in secret societies and even the top levels of government? Curiously, the Book of Enoch tells of the Watchers' arrival, but it never tells of their departure.
We have the records as described in the Book of Enoch and other literature that when the Watchers came down, corrupted the human gene pool, introducing hidden technologies centuries before they were meant to be introduced, things were off track. It was then ordained by whatever heavenly powers that we had to start from scratch. The flood was to come. But yet, what happened to the Watchers? They were not human, and therefore they were not subject to a human decree, or could they be susceptible to human death? Well, the Bible doesn't say what happened to them, but the other legends do. In the mystical legends, it is taught that a good number of them escaped the flood by escaping to secret hidden places.
Is it possible that ancient aliens called the Watchers actually survived the cataclysm known as the Great Flood? And could they not only have survived, but managed to live among us in secret for thousands of years? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and claim that proof can be found deep beneath the Earth. Nevşehir Province, central Turkey. Hidden 60 meters below ground lies Derinkuyu, an ancient subterranean city that archaeologists believe once housed more than 20,000 people. First discovered in 1963, some ancient astronaut theorists contend the once fully functioning underground city is evidence that ancient people really were forced underground by a great cataclysmic event, and that they may have had help from more advanced beings, like the Watchers.
The amazing thing about Derinkuyu is that it was built around 9000 BC, just before the last ice age. And you have to ask, is it possible that it was built by the Watchers as a refuge for themselves, or perhaps as a refuge for humanity?
Archaeologists in the Middle East have surmised that around 5000 BC, there was a huge flood throughout the Middle East. And it destroyed and flooded much of Sumeria and Anatolia. This is the same time where the city of Derinkuyu was being occupied underground. So we might surmise that this was one of the refuges of the Watchers.
Is it really possible that the underground city of Derinkuyu was constructed with the help of extraterrestrials to provide shelter from a great flood? Ancient astronaut theorists suggest that Derinkuyu is just one of numerous locations where it appears someone or something built a fortification to serve as a refuge from a great cataclysm. In a remote area of the Himalayan mountain range in Nepal, at an elevation of 14,000 feet, over 10,000 man-made caves have been found carved into sheer cliffs. Archaeologists believe they could date back more than 3,000 years and struggle to explain how ancient people would have been able to access these caves, let alone create them.
It's not easy to get up there at all. It's not known why would people take the trouble to climb up a vertical cliff in the middle of the Himalayas. It suggests that whoever built them might have had some sort of flying craft technology.
Perhaps even more baffling are the Washan Grottos in the Anhui province of China. They are the largest ancient man-made caves in the country, containing stone rooms, bridges, and pavilions. Archaeologists have no idea how they were built, by whom, or why. Could these ancient sites that defy explanation have been built by alien visitors in order to survive the Great Flood. Ancient astronaut theorists contend that perhaps the strongest proof that the Watchers survived the flood can be found not in the Middle East, Asia, or India, but in the American Southwest. Northeastern Arizona. Sprawled across this desolate and arid region lie the Three Mesas, settlements of the Native American Hopi tribe that some have long believed align with the stars of Orion's belt: Onalam, Onatak, and Mintaka. In addition to their strong ties to the constellation of Orion, the Hopi also have numerous legends of the Ant People, an advanced race of beings that came to the aid of mankind.
I've seen some of these carvings on the rock cliffs in Arizona. The Ant People helped the Hopi survive two major cataclysms: the destruction of the first world by fire, some kind of asteroid strike, or perhaps a comet hit the Earth, and the second world by ice, maybe a pole shift. But each time, the Ant People led the Hopi down into caverns and helped them survive in a subterranean world.
This story is strikingly similar to that of the Watchers who sought to protect the humans that they had interacted with. You have to wonder, are the Ant People somehow related to, if not the same as, the Watchers of the biblical story?
But what ancient astronaut theorists find most fascinating about the story of the Ant People is what they are called in Hopi.
The Hopi word for ant is Anu, and the Hopi word for friend is Naki. So you put the two together, the Anunnaki, the ant friends that the Hopi have interacted with for centuries and millennia. And this ties in with the Bible and with Sumerian mythology. It's all tied in together. These Ant People are pervasive in human history.
According to Sumerian texts, the Anunnaki, much like the Watchers, were beings who came down from the sky and helped mankind's earliest civilization to develop writing, medicine, and irrigation. Could the Hopi stories of the Ant People actually be describing the same star travelers that the Sumerians called the Anunnaki, and that the Bible refers to as the Watchers? Might the Ant People have been extraterrestrials that took refuge in the caves of the American Southwest to survive the Great Flood? But if the Watchers really did remain here on Earth, did they also continue to manipulate the evolution of human society? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and claim the evidence can be found with the strange cave-dwelling entities known as the Jinn. Muscat, Oman. Here, on the shores of the Arabian Sea, lies one of the world's 10 largest caves, Majlis al-Jinn, or meeting place of the Jinn. According to Islamic texts, the Jinn are beings from a higher realm, but they are not angels. They have free will, and they disobey Allah, just as the Watchers are said to have disobeyed God in the Book of Enoch. And many Muslims believe this 14-acre cavern is still inhabited by these otherworldly beings.
In Islam, there is a class of beings known as jinn. The jinn are angelic, and yet they are not of the ethereal realm. They are of the earthly realm. They're neither good nor evil. They're shapeshifters. They can help you. They can also trick you.
They are supposed to have had magic abilities, supernatural powers, and humans greatly feared the jinn. They're just exiled beings who crossed over a forbidden boundary and now find themselves trapped in the earth plane.
In the Islamic texts, the Jinn appear only when they want to be seen, often influencing humans by whispering instructions to them while invisible.
In order to understand the nature of these entities, we must understand that in many ways they're the intermediary race. Like human beings, they eat and drink. Like human beings, they sexually procreate. But like the angels, they can shapeshift, fly, and know the future.
Stories of encounters with the jinn can be found throughout the Muslim world. But could they be true? And if so, are these the same otherworldly entities that are said to have descended to Earth before the time of the Great Flood, known as the Watchers? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and claim that further evidence can be found with the stories of similar strange beings found all over the world. In Africa, there are stories of the Orisha, demigods who came down from the sky that are said to speak every language and secretly influence events on Earth. In Japan, the Tengu are bird-like creatures that are said to hide out in the mountains and change form to manipulate humans. But if the Watchers were active on Earth hundreds of years ago, could they still be living among us even to this day? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and for proof, they suggest we look no further than recent accounts of alien abductions. January 25th, 1967. South Ashburnham, Massachusetts. 30-year-old Betty Andreasen is in her kitchen after dinner while her mother, father, and 7 children are in the living room. Suddenly, the power goes out. And when it comes back on a moment later, a beam of red light shoots through the window.
We saw a flashing reddish-orange light coming through the pantry window. 5 beings entered my home right through the wooden door. They had large black eyes, tiny nose, thin slit mouth, tiny holes for ears, a large bulbous head, and I was quite shocked, wondering what is this, you know? At that point, I was taken up into the craft.
Betty ends up going with them to some place that she thinks is their world, and she said it was more vivid than life itself.
Betty Andreasen's reports are very detailed and thorough. There's lots and lots of specific drawings that she makes of technology on these ships. This is before the era that anybody was talking about this stuff, so it was a totally unique experience for her.
A devout Christian, Andreasen describes her abduction as a religious experience.
The only thing I could think of that they must be angels for them to be able to pass through the door like that and to take me through that door the same way.
But for ancient astronaut theorists, this encounter is most significant because of how these strange beings identified themselves.
They said that they were the Watchers.
But if extraterrestrial beings, known as Watchers, are still living among us today, why? Perhaps the answer can be found by examining other cases of extraterrestrial abductions and by examining whether the Watchers are watching us or if there are other beings watching them. June 1st, 1990. UFO investigator Raymond Fowler publishes The Watchers, an unprecedented inside look at the Betty Andreasen case. After years of hypnosis, psych exams, and interviews, Fowler concludes that the strange beings Andreasen encountered that called themselves the Watchers were the same entities that are commonly identified today as gray aliens.
It's very interesting, this word Watchers, because when you talk with so many people, you begin to hear patterns. And even if you're not sitting across from a man or a woman or a child who says, I was taken by a watcher, what you hear is the abductees knew that they were dealing with something that knew everything about them. Again, the watcher idea, whether you use that name or not.
According to Betty's account, the extraterrestrials who took her aboard their craft subjected her to medical examination.
And I was floated to a table, and as he was examining me, he said they were going to have to measure me physically. And at that point, they started to take this needle-like thing and thrust it into my navel. And I could feel it going round and round inside me.
As incredible as Betty Andreasen's abduction story sounds, it is not unique. Many alleged alien abductees give very similar accounts. In 1961, Betty and Barney Hill of Lancaster, New Hampshire, made one of the earliest alien abduction reports when they claimed that they had been taken aboard a ship, placed naked on examination tables, and probed by what they described as gray aliens. Linda Porter of Covina, California, reported that in 1963, she too was taken aboard a ship, where she witnessed strange-looking creatures examining humans held in states of suspended animation. But if these accounts are true, what is it that's being done to these abductees?
Watchers have two key areas of interest as concerns humanity. One is genetics and the other is technology, and both are found in the phenomena of alien abductions. So one idea would be that the purpose of the abductions is to continue to tweak the human body to assist humanity in climbing the evolutionary ladder, so to speak.
Is it possible that the Watchers that were described in the Bible and the Book of Enoch really are responsible for the modern alien abduction phenomenon, and that they are continuing to alter our genetic makeup? Or might there be another explanation? Some ancient astronaut theorists suggest it is possible that modern alien abductions are not the work of those same Watchers that survived the Great Flood, but that instead they are carried out by another group of extraterrestrials. Watchers that have returned to Earth in search of those who stayed behind.
All of the people that I've interviewed, they would tell you the same thing. These Watchers, they're not all of the same mind. There seems to be conflict about what the future of humanity on this planet will be.
The legends teach us that Watchers fight amongst themselves, and that they will each manipulate segments of humanity so as to express their own agendas, and therefore it is they who influence nations to go to war and to fight for their purposes and not necessarily for our betterment.
And you have to wonder if many of the modern-day abductions, such as Betty Andreasen, are really extraterrestrials who are searching for the Watchers.
Could it be that extraterrestrials are abducting humans because they are actually looking for other alien beings hiding among us? Ancient astronaut theorists suggest that the answer may be found by taking a closer look at the United States government's most secret projects. San Francisco, California, June 6th, 2011. At the annual Apple Worldwide Developers Conference, Steve Jobs introduces the world to his latest technological breakthrough, iCloud. This new service allows users to store all of their digital data, such as music, email, contacts, documents, photos, and internet search history on pools of remote servers, collectively known as the cloud. This revolutionary technology takes off so fast that within 2 years, there are over 300 million people on the cloud. And because it is built into every Apple device, some people use the cloud without even realizing it. But while Apple assures its customers that their personal files are secure, in August of 2014, explicit personal photos of female celebrities begin to pop up online. The cloud has been hacked.
All of your information is now in the cloud. It's now somewhere else. Sure, you can always potentially access it and read that information back, but that also means someone else now has access to your data. That data could be your emails, it could be your messages, it could be phone calls, it could be voicemails.
It's incredible because you're literally just handing your data over to an unknown location run by who knows who. Many people see very big security issues with these. You're no longer personally having control of your own data on your own hard drive. You're just sending it off into the ether to who knows where.
When Edward Snowden revealed in 2013 the extent to which our privacy has been compromised, it drew public outrage. But as the march of technology moves forward, are we adapting to the notion that nothing is sacred or secret? And is it possible that extraterrestrials who have been watching us for thousands of years actually led us to this point? Could it be that our increased reliance on computers, cell phones, tablets, and anything else connected to the internet is the product of extraterrestrial design, giving the Watchers greater access to us than ever before?
We're living in a day and age now where everybody is carrying literally a camera and a microphone in their hand or in their pocket that can be remotely activated by the NSA or various number of intelligence agencies or even hackers. The webcams in all laptops and the microphones can be easily remotely activated.
It really seems that because of technology, these extraterrestrials step up their monitoring and watch every little detail of what goes on, and they want to see our planet nurture certain civilizations that are technologically minded.
But there are some who believe the highly interconnected society we now live in provides for even more shocking implications. They say that extraterrestrials may actually be in league with world leaders, monitoring each and every one of us in an effort to root out the Watchers who have been hiding among us for thousands of years.
The United States government has proof that at least 3 competing geopolitical, territorial, extraterrestrial groups that are in conflict with each other have been on this planet. The intervention may actually be positive for humans going forward. But we are also presented the idea that we are dealing with intelligences that may actually want to do harm and have done harm. It is as if there were political parties in the cosmos.
Is it possible, as ancient astronaut theorists contend, that the Watchers really do exist and are still here on Earth, watching over us? Could we be under surveillance by not one group of Watchers, but several? And might a secret conglomeration of the world's most powerful leaders have actually taken a side in this extraterrestrial conflict? Perhaps very soon, we will discover that aliens have been among us all along, watching us and guiding us, not only in the interest of our own future, but also theirs.